guys, welcome or welcome back. This is M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. I am your host, Jamie, the yarn dyer behind m1yarns.com, and I'm coming to you today from Metro Detroit. If you're new here, this is a mostly knitting, spinning, fiber, yarn related podcast. If that's your jam, grab a drink, grab your project, we'll chat. I have a good strong cup. Let's see if I can show you without spilling. There you go. You get a hint of it. Of English tea with milk and sugar. I typically, so my mom is English. I will drink a cup of tea many afternoons for the cooler half of the year. But because it is mid-August here, and thus summer, and it has been a hot summer here in Michigan this summer, I haven't had a good cup of English tea in a few months. But I was driving down the road today, suddenly had a hankering because it's cooled off just a smidge, and that is literally the only thing I will put real dairy milk in. So I stopped and I got a little container. I brewed a cup. Well, I was going to brew a cup earlier in the afternoon. My goal was to podcast like mid-afternoon today, but the day, you know how it goes. So now it's 6 o'clock and now I'm drinking caffeine. I'm probably going to regret this, but here we are. Life is all about bad decisions. Speaking of bad decisions, I have so many to tell you about today. So if you're here for the train wreck that is Jamie, you're in the right place. Speaking of bad decisions, last week, right before I left for the Michigan Fiber Festival in Allegan, Michigan, where I was vending, if we met there, hello. Oh, I had so many good conversations with so many people, and I'm going to get into all that in just a minute. But I was doing, your typical like pre-trip stuff, like clean the house. Why? Because I'm going to be gone from the house. Do laundry. Why? Because I'm not going to wear those clothes. I'm going to wear the clothes that I packed. But I was doing a little laundry, delicates, and I had worn one of my favorite knit tank tops. And I decided, against my better judgment, to put it in a lingerie bag and put it in the delicate cycle. I have a front loader. I put it on cold. I put it on low spin. I did everything I could. And this tank top, this knit tank top, I'm trying to figure out if it's inside out. It doesn't matter. It felted itself. It may not be like super obvious. And this is a yarn base that I haven't carried in several years. But as you can see, it's got some stellina in it. It's a strand of green held with a strand of blue. And this is a Jessie Martinson Jessie Maed design that I knit. I probably knit this during COVID, now that I'm thinking of it. And I wear this a lot every summer. It's one of my favorites. I think the blue and the green go well with my complexion. Why did I put it in the washing machine? The one time I have put a project knit with sock yarn in the washing machine, it also felted. And so I have always preached to my customers, never, ever, ever put your yarn, your projects in the washing machine, no matter what. I have customers who swear by it, that they have never had a problem. I feel like this is karma because the last podcast episode, I was talking to you guys about the DRK Everyday Cardigan that I had just finished knitting. I took FO photos, and I decided after posting those photos that it was way too oversized on me. And so I intentionally semi-felted it in the dryer, and it turned out perfect. It was a great process. So I feel like I was getting a little cocky with laundering knits. So this is really a bummer. And if you know anyone who is teeny tiny, the straps used to be longer. I think the straps felted more than anything. And if I were to stand up, let me show you what it would look like on me. By the time I covered my boobs, I mean, it would be like a significant crop top. Anyway, I'm never going to wear this again. If you know of like a teenager who might wear it, comment below. So that was sad, especially because I loved that yarn. I don't carry that yarn anymore. I love a good Jessie May pattern. I've knit so many, as so many of you know. Just check out my Ravelry project pages. I love a good Jessie May pattern. And speaking of Jessie May, I finally met her in person this past weekend at the Michigan Fiber Festival, where she came with her fellow friends and podcasters. Park Williams of Park and Knit. She and Jessie May are both very prolific designers. And then they came with their good friend and fellow podcaster, James Watts, who is a very accomplished designer, an accomplished musician, just came out with a jewelry line. And we had a lovely conversation, the four of us together. And I was so excited to tell Jessie that two sweaters or finished works were hanging in my booth as samples, and they, of course, Jack just got in my face to like heavy breathe on me. Why are you panting? Go lay down again. If you're new here, my dogs think that when I podcast it's time to really annoy me. Jack, I have cuddled you literally all day. I have. It's nap time. He's like a 10-year-old toddler. Anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? Jessie. So along with that group of makers at the Michigan Fiber Festival, I also met up with a bunch of other friends who also came from Chicago. Shout out to Christopher. Shout out so many others. A couple lovely friends who I have gone to Rhinebeck with in the past came, and one of them was knitting with my yarn, knitting the most amazing complex sock. I'll insert a photo. Kendra is so awesome. She has a YouTube podcast, if you're into knitting podcasts, which I think you might be. And then, wow, I mean, I just met so many new friends and saw so many people I hadn't seen in a while. These fiber festivals that I vend at are so great. It is like a collection of introverts who just get excited over extroverting for a few hours and buying yarn, and who doesn't love that? So in addition to my cup of tea today, which, if you know, every podcast episode is like a different drink. Last time it was a cocktail, today it's English tea. So with the English tea, I am having a little snack. You know, last time I shared with you my new favorite sunscreen, which is from Trader Joe's. And today at Trader Joe's, I bought these brioche waffles. I had not seen these before, but they had them on an end cap. Man, oh man, if they don't get you with those end caps. So I followed the directions on the package. It says that you can just eat them straight out of the pack. Sorry about the glare. Or you can toast it, because it is topped with a little bit of pearl sugar, and then you get like a buttery brioche taste, and that like, fabulous. And I toasted mine while I was making my cup of tea. This is the end of it. Sorry, I know that's kind of gross. But it is just delightful. Okay. I should probably tell you what I'm wearing, right? I have to think about what I'm wearing. This is the... I know you're all screaming at the screen like, we know what it is, Jamie. This is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. This is not my yarn. This is... what is her? She no longer is dyeing yarn. It's something like Honeybee Knits. She's based in Ohio. She was really a big inspiration for me when I was getting started with, with my yarn business 6 years ago. I'm now in my 7th year, and I purchased some of this yarn from her. It is a strand of actually that same base, that Stellina sock yarn. I'll get up so you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see the sparkles. Anyway, held with a strand of mohair. And this is one skein of each, and it is exactly like I literally ran out of sock yarn, and I only had mohair left to bind off my separated sleeve stitches. But I actually think that is such a nice feminine detail. I might have to like make a mental note and do that again. I knit this before COVID. Yeah, this was like probably the summer I started my yarn business. I knit this. I bought the yarn and then I cast it on right away. So this is an oldie but a goodie, and I really love this. And wearing this today, I haven't worn it in a while, reminded me that I do feel like for my body type, a cropped, like you can see how short the torso is on this. This looks best on me because I'm only 5'3", and I'm starting to look more critically at a lot of the clothes I wear, a lot of the clothes I buy, even things like t-shirts. If you watch Andrea Mowry's podcast, I think the latest episode, she was wearing a t-shirt where she had cut the bottom off and cut the sleeve ribbing because she said kind of the same thing. She's short-waisted. She felt like classic, like screen printed t-shirts swallow her up. And I thought to myself, yeah, I kind of feel that too. And so I started cutting a lot of my t-shirts. Game changer. So that being said, I've had that in the back of my mind. And let's get to the knitting, because this is a perfect segue. So as you know, for many, 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 many months, because I should be a monogamous knitter so I can get things done, but between getting excited about new yarns that I want to knit a sample of and getting excited about new patterns that come out, you get it. This has just been like on and on and on. But this is the Shiftigan by Andrea Mowry. I chose a like a size 3, I think, because I'm a 38. Well, no, I thought I was a 38. I recently went and got measured. No, I'm a 36. Apparently, some fat has redistributed around my body. And I have noticed that a lot of my projects are fitting more oversized. I mean, I really haven't lost weight, so I don't know what the issue is. This does look big. I think I got gauge. I don't know what gauge is. I mean, I know what gauge is. I'm pretty sure I've double checked my gauge on this numerous times. But anyway, when I split for sleeves, and let me get up on the chair to show you. When I split for sleeves, at that point, I felt like with this, I was already pretty far down my torso. I had debated doing the ribbing right after this blue section. But no, I didn't listen to my gut. I continued knitting this purple section and then doing the ribbing and bind off before trying it on. I think the last time I tried it on was like here, and I even felt then that I didn't need that much more, which if you compare it to this top, this is such a good example. I should have done ribbing after the blue section. Oh, God. I mean, this is the story of my life. It's either too big, too small. I'm like Goldilocks. Nothing ever fits correctly. So, yes, this is a steeked cardigan design. So that little column that you see right there is where I will pick up a button band, cut down the middle of it, and voila. This should be the thumbnail. It really should. I was talking to someone the other day at the Fiber Festival, and I was like, I struggle with how to be authentic on the podcast without like giving away like all my like, you know, dirt or all my like, you want the juice, but you don't want like warts and all, as they say. Where am I going with this story? Oh, I was telling them that if I were really to give you like my most authentic self, you would probably get either like a bunch of F-bombs or I would have to beep it out. And then if I did beep it out so that you could watch while your children are in the room, that would be really funny. So, I might have to just add the occasional beep, because I actually have a really severe potty mouth. My dad would be appalled. He would say it was unladylike, but I think that's a very old-fashioned phrase. I like to think of myself as a modern feminist. Anyway, so this is really too big. I really don't know how I feel about this yellow section because it is so much lighter. Like the yellow with the beige is too like tone on tone almost. And then these sections are high contrast. What do you think? Here's the question. And there is no wrong answer here. Do I A, just chuck this whole project? Do I B, rip back to like above the yellow, maybe do some decreases, knit this a different color so that it's all like equal shades, if you will? Do I C, either way I gotta do something. We're not leaving it as is. Do I C, rip out this ribbing, rip out the purple, and just do the ribbing right here? Do I just rip back to the sleeve stitches and do some decreases so this is less fabricy? Do I leave it and just hope that I like wearing it like oversized? I don't know. I'm okay, honestly, with just throwing it away if that is the right choice, like in the grand scheme of things. But I am just like, I think why this has gone into timeout so many times, I'm not really loving the pattern. I'm not really loving the multicolor yarn. This is really not my aesthetic. The beige is my own hand dyed in the color beach sand, which I love. I feel like beach sand is the perfect neutral. It is like warm, but not overly warm. It is, I don't know, it's beige. But like this, the multicolor is Stonehenge Fiber Mill Crazy. And I'm not crazy. Just kidding. Don't worry, I have a tank top on underneath. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what what we're going to do with this, but we got to do something. So I think while you all vote on what to do with this disaster of a cardigan, I'm going to put it in timeout. I'm going to move on with my life because there are bigger and better things to do. One of the things that I am excited about on the horizon is to finally card several fleeces that I have purchased over the last year. In fact, I have 2 sheep fleeces, 2 alpaca fleeces. When I bought so I got an electric eel wheel 2 years ago. Then last October, I bought an Ashford Joy. Love that wheel. And at that time, I knew I wanted to buy some sheep fleeces at Rhinebeck, which I did. I bought hand carders. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that seems a little inefficient. So I have been thinking that, time is money. Like Taylor Swift said on the New Heights podcast recently, which if you didn't watch, I actually encourage you to go watch it, even if you're not a Swiftie. I thought it was very interesting. And the most profound thing that she said, which has become like a little clip that is replayed over and over and over on social media, is that like your energy is a luxury item, and I think your time is too. And not everyone can afford that luxury, right? So like who you give your time and your energy towards should be worthy. So, running a small business is difficult. And I was like, you know what? I treat myself to a drum carder. So I thought about ordering one new, but why order new when you can get one gently used with a little bit of patience and a little bit of hunting on Facebook Marketplace? And I've been looking on and off for a few months, really casually, like it'll happen when it happens. And I found one in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area the night before I was traveling to 30 minutes from Grand Rapids. So I messaged the lady and made her an offer. And she was like, yeah, I'll leave it in my apartment. What do you call like the vestibule, like the foyer? She said it'll be safe there. There's cameras. Like, just pick it up and Venmo me whenever. So I went and I picked it up and I played with it a little bit over the weekend while at the festival. And this weekend, I'm hoping to really get some time sitting on our back deck and carding my first fleece. So I'll insert a photo of it here if I haven't already, because I don't feel like digging it out of where it is over there. Anyway, so that's exciting. I figure that'll be faster than the hand carders. If you have any tips for using a drum carder, please share. I don't know. Like, I don't have any specific plans. Like, am I going to mix this sheep fleece with one of my alpaca fleece? Am I going to card them all separately and then maybe ply them together later? I don't know. I got to think about this. I need to slow down, slow my brain, and think about this. Anyway, speaking of sheep, I have a new yarn in the shop that just debuted last week. It is right here and right here, so you can see some colors. But this is called Urban Cowgirl. It is a Michigan grown, milled, and dyed yarn. It's worsted weight. It is so bouncy, squishy, lofty. It's fabulous. It's 60% baby doll South Down. I don't even have my glasses on, so this is like maybe not even correct. 38% Romney, 2% Cormo / CVM / Leicester. Really, really lovely. So I'm knitting with it, and I have been for like the last 2 weeks. I am nearly done. The pattern is the Sunday Morning Shawl by Espace Tricot, which is a free pattern. I'm hoping it's one of those Espace Tricot patterns that's still available, because you know how when the store changed hands, some of the free patterns became not free and some of them disappeared. I don't know. But I've had this in my library for several years. It is written as a DK weight pattern. I always knew I would knit this with worsted just so it was bigger and bolder and better. And Betty bought a bit of butter, but she said that butter is bitter. Just kidding. That was like my favorite rhyming thing when I was a kid. In case you're curious, you start here with one of those little tab cast-ons for shawls, and you increase. And so the bottom is my live stitches, and I currently have over 300 stitches. I am not a shawl person by any stretch. I am also not a flat knitting person. I hate purling. Hate it. But I love knitting this shawl. And I love looking at this shawl. I love the feel. And I can't wait for winter, because literally I just want to live my best life wrapped up in this yummy, like, doesn't that give you the look of like a cowgirl? I should make that the thumbnail. I'm just going to make a bunch of thumbnails. Just kidding. It'll be like the Taylor Swift album covers, how there's different versions. That's what we're going to call it. Just kidding. You can tell that English tea caffeine is really kicking in. So I have a lot of my stitches on SOS cords, which are those silicone stitch holders. I don't know what's happening here. But I put the stitches on the cords so I could lay this out. I don't know why this is like wrapped all over me. So I could lay this project out on a table at the Fiber Festival, so it would lay flat so people could see just how glorious this is. So I am nearly done knitting this, and now that I'm abandoning my cardigan, I'm going to finish this week. So the weather can now turn to fall because I'm ready to wear this. And that's just the bottom line. I told you what the pattern was. I told you what the yarn was. You can get your skeins at m1yarns.com. So that's that. What else? Last time I recorded, I told you guys I would show you something that I had dyed, and then I forgot, and then I realized it when I was editing. I'm like, forget it. I'll show it next time. Let me show you. Okay, so every year, basically during the summer mostly, I get a little bug for over dyeing clothes. Bonus points if they are from eBay. Bonus points if they are new with or without a tag on eBay. Bonus points if the garment costs under $20. I love shopping for white clothing on eBay, primarily because I look horrendous in white. It totally washes me out, but I love a good blank slate for dyeing. I have over dyed quite a few fun pieces, and the latest, I got this white dress. So I have some turquoise feather suede earrings that are super fun, and I do love turquoise. Remember that, because that's an Easter egg. That is a Taylor Swift Easter egg of something coming up. I love turquoise. Taylor Swift wouldn't tell you that it's an Easter egg, but I would. Anyway, I bought this white dress. You're like, Jamie, that's not a white dress. You're right, because I dyed it. It was white, and then I dyed it. How cute is that? And because the dye only works on cotton, not this kind of whatever this thread is made out of, the thread did not take the dye. How cool is that? I love that. So now I just need like one more hot day in Michigan to look so cute in my freshly dyed white dress. So that's the latest and greatest in how I live and die. Ha ha ha. Pun intended. So let's just put that there. Should have had that there the whole time. Next up, I'm going to cast on a vest that I'm hoping to take to Rhinebeck. If you're going to Rhinebeck, let me know. Also, I think that's all. It is 30-ish minutes, so this is a great time to stop. Thanks so much for joining me. I know last time I teased that I have a big announcement coming, and I thought it might be this episode, but life. But I promise you it is coming up very, very soon. If you don't already follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you might want to, so that you are the first to know this big news. You can sign up for my newsletter too at m1yarns.com. Also, I always forget to say this, but there are show notes in the link below where I talk about, I reference everything I talk about. So I'm going to leave it at that before I just go on some rant, but I hope you are all well. And until next time, happy knitting, happy crochet, happy spinning. See ya!